Hey guys, so today I thought I'd talk about the new movement that's taking place in the streets of New York. It's called Occupy Wall Street. You've probably actually heard about this. It's been going on for 13 days and it hasn't really gotten a lot of coverage by the mainstream media. However, the last couple days it's actually kind of broken through. By the way, I'll probably put a couple links below. This week they're expanding their occupation to other cities, basically all the major cities in America, and actually a couple overseas. So if you're living in London, I forget the other international cities, you could check it out there too. Anyway, I'll put a link below. So I think that this movement is one of those movements that is interesting because it's definitely trying really hard to be a grassroots movement. And they're always very interesting to see how they develop and everything. But it's also a movement that is very understandable because things have been bad in the United States for a long time. Wages have been stagnant for decades. I mean, I don't need to tell you all the statistics. Houses are being foreclosed, banks are going bust. And nobody can find a job. In fact, companies are now not hiring people that are employed, and that's just fucking great. So things are bad, and a lot of the assumptions that we were taught when we were children, that the government was good, that corporate capitalism was a positive element, that education guaranteed you a good future, have turned out not to really be that accurate. For a lot of people. Now, you can debate whether capitalism is a good thing or government's a good thing. I don't want to get into that debate. But there's a perception that that's the case. What do I mean by this? Well, if you think about it objectively, we've had a change election since 2006. Every election since 2006 has been a change election. And I think most people would agree that we haven't really seen the change that we wanted to take place in Washington. And I think that there's also a general feeling that that's because of special interest money, corporate money, money in general. It's because lobbyists and these special interests are able to manipulate what the politicians we elect are hearing and change their votes and change how they view the system. Because they're very much right in a sense. There's definitely something to that. It takes a lot of money to run for virtually any office on the federal level. And it definitely hinders or silences the voices of the voter because you need money to get elected, so you need to play ball, you see, or else you're not elected. Or if you are elected, you're going to be unelected in the next change election. So that's one of the major problems that's occurring is we've lost faith in the government institution. Now, education is easy. I mean, you go ask people that have a college degree. Most of them aren't using it. And not only that, but the unemployment rate among college graduates, fresh out of college, is something like 18%. 18%, think about that. That's a big number. Now, if education was going to give you, this great future, why are you unemployed? Also, the underemployment for these college graduates, these people with degrees, is high as well. I know 2 engineers and one person who was training to be a reverend who are currently working at coffee houses. One at Starbucks and I forget the other 2 are in kind of more independent places, but that's not important. The point is that everybody knows this. Everybody knows that education is not fulfilling the need that we want it to. Also, there's a lack of faith in the capitalist system. The fact that we had this crash in the first place shows that there was something of a weakness when it comes to the system itself. The fact that these bankers were not held to account shows that they are able to manipulate our system to protect themselves, as well as a lot of these special interests are funded by very wealthy people. Whether you blame Soros or the Koch brothers, it doesn't really matter. Rich people are the ones that are doing it. It's not because rich people are bad, it's just because they've got a lot more power than everybody else. And because of that, people are discontented. They're upset. They don't see any of these major institutions helping them. They don't see them as fulfilling the needs, the promises that they had. At the same time, there's a general need for these institutions to perform well, because the economic crisis is so bad that people are being forced to fall back on these safety nets, and these safety nets are there's an attempt to cut these safety nets at that very moment. Now, mind you, the people that are on welfare is something, or Medicaid or Medicare, people getting money from the government is something like 50%, close to it. It's like 48 or something close to that. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people getting money from the government, not paying anything in. The reason why it shows the problem with the system that we have. And I think this is why people are upset. Now, the last statistic I just threw at you, I heard from Rush Limbaugh. So don't tell me this is a left-wing conspiracy. The right's upset about this too. Now, what's the primary problem? And if you talk to people long enough, it usually comes down to this joining of these two institutions, the government and capitalist or Wall Street, and it's this integration of these two institutions leads to these problems. And it leads to them not being, leads to the voices of the people ending up being drowned out, because you can just buy elections at this point. So you don't need to really motivate individuals. You just put up enough ads, you end up winning. So people feel disenfranchised. There's no real reason to work for the system. It doesn't work for you. So what's occurring is these people are upset, and what do? They take to the streets, because that's what people do when they're upset. That's kind of a historical occurrence. You know, when crops are bad, peasants riot. When, the system was bad in the Great Depression, a lot of people in car manufacturing lines ended up basically occupying them, and now people are occupying Wall Street. It's kind of a time-honored thing to do. Now, I think that the other aspect of it is, that I should mention, is that while this is kind of the natural reaction, it's also, more importantly, a reaction to what we perceive as our future. I think that everybody perceives things getting a lot worse before they get better. And I think that this is one of the major things that is occurring right now, is that I think that Americans are losing hope that things are going to get better. If you actually talk to people, or, check the statistics on this, they check out too. I can't throw actual numbers at you, but I know they're getting worse. If you look at the amount of people that are optimistic about the future, it's dropping. Why? Because there's no real hope economically. And like I mentioned before, the government's not really changing, even though we're voting to change elections. And people are realizing that this is not working. And there's no real other solution. So what are these people doing? They're taking to the streets. But more importantly, something interesting that's happening in this movement is that they are forming these committees on the street to basically talk out their grievances, to list their demands, to organize what they're going to do, everything that a government would do, with the exceptions of the roads that they're going on and everything. Of course, the federal government and the state government have a big impact. But the point is that this institution is basically governing how this organization is working. But at the same time, it is incredibly grassroots. Everybody's got a voice in it. And I think that shows the antithesis of the current system, and that's why people are upset. And so, you guys, I went on for another 30 minutes, so I cut this video short. I just want to say have a great day. Once again, I posted the comments below. I will mention, I'm going to try to shrink up this point, that these movements really do accomplish things. Look at Egypt, look at other nations throughout history. street protests do work. It just takes time. Also, there's always that complaint, well, this isn't career, you're not getting shot by, real bullets. There's nobody throwing rocks at you. Yeah, conditions are different, but I think the overall complaint is the same, which is that the authoritarian aspects of the state, or how do I put it, the government is not serving the people's interest, and that's why they're upset. That's why they're taken to the street. So that's the kinship between the two movements. Also, people, if you watch videos, they're getting pepper sprayed right in the eye for standing. And there's some aspects, you can debate whether they're abuse or not. I don't want to get into that debate. But the point is that I think that this is just a reaction that occurs when people don't see the institutions that they put faith in listening to them. And that's basically it. If you agree with me, or if you want to say that I'm full bullshit, comment below. If you want to check out the movement, it will also be below. It should be interesting to see where this movement goes, whether it actually really starts to gain traction, because I definitely think that, at least on the left, there's a lot of anger still about how the system's working, and I think the Tea Party wing is upset with the Republican system, and I think how you can see that is, 50% of Republicans are still unhappy with the candidates they got, and they got more candidates than I can count. So, I think nobody's happy with the political or economic. I've repeated myself 100 times. That's it. Have a great day. Goodbye.